Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning Black in to the Queen Amadai Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Amadai Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. Okay? So, with that all being said, let's get ready to get into it. Hello, Rosemary. Natanya Judah. I hope I said that right. Nichelle, Eris, Brother True. All right. Tony. So, yes, people, we have more information. Live in Style International, Marcus. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it, people. As I told you, more information keeps coming up. With that all being said, I'm going to be discussing first, before I get started with the body cam footage, I'm going to be talking about, hold on just a second. And while I'm looking for this, everyone go ahead and give this video a like, please. Like and subscribe, people. Like and subscribe. Hold on one second. I'm cueing something. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I have to find that in a minute. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is how they released all of these pictures and images, hundreds of files, right? Trying to depict Breonna in a negative light. Hello, Brother True. Thanks for tuning in. G. Bowman Jr. Okay, so listen. Cops released photos that were tagged partners in crime from Breonna Taylor's boyfriend's phone that show them both holding guns, believed to be the one he used to fire at police, as messages also suggest that he was selling drugs. As messages also suggest, they didn't say the messages said he was selling drugs, but with that all being said, he should definitely be suing them for slandering his name. Okay, and here they still try to vilify and demonize Breonna. Now, I'm just saying, among the Black community, many couples call themselves partners in crime, or they call themselves Bonnie and Clyde. Doesn't mean that they're out here robbing, stealing, killing, selling drugs, or any of those nefarious things that the police sometimes do themselves. Okay? The Louisville Metro Police Department has released the contents of its internal investigation following the death of Breonna Taylor, including photos of her brandishing guns and text messages that indicate her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, sold drugs. You see why they're trying to paint Kenneth as a drug dealer now, right? And a thug. They're trying to make it look as though Breonna was always dealing with no good thugs and drug dealers. And so they're very likely she was involved in it too. This is what they're trying to say. This is what the narrative is they're trying to paint. Now, on Wednesday, LMPD released 4,470 pages, including investigative reports, interview summaries, and evidence reports, as well as 251 videos and hundreds of photos. Taylor's death in a hail of police bullets early on March 13th sparked protests nationwide, and the document dump follows a controversial grand jury ruling that saw no officers directly charged in her death. Now, included in the new documents are photos of Taylor and Walker posing with guns, as well as text messages that strongly suggest that Walker was involved in the sale of illegal drugs. Yes, this is what they want to do. They want to make him be involved in the sale of illegal drugs. But here's the thing. If he was, in fact, involved in the sale of illegal drugs, wouldn't he, in fact, be in jail now that they have these pictures and so-called evidence? But no, he isn't in jail because they have no proof. All they're doing is speculating. All they're doing is spreading malicious gossip. All they're doing is trying to demonize and vilify these two Black people. And they should be charged for the crimes they've committed, but they should also be sued by Kenneth Walker. And I do know that he's suing them for saying that he shot Maddoxly, but he should also be suing them for all these lies that they're telling. Now, Walker was a licensed gun owner, able to legally carry in Kentucky. He was not named in the search warrant that was used to enter Taylor's home, and he was not a target in the drug investigation of Taylor's ex-boyfriend, Jamarcus Glover. This is what led to the raid on her apartments. Now, in one photo recovered from Walker's phone, Taylor poses with him as he holds a silver and black Glock 9mm that strongly resembles the gun that Walker used to fire on police during the raid. He also shows off a pistol-style Springfield Saint AR-15. Here's the thing. Why is any of this important? I mean, after all, he was a legal gun owner, was he not? He also didn't have any criminal record. Yes, absolutely. Inquirer Minds wants to know truths. He does not have a criminal record, and this is absolutely slander and defamation, okay? Libel. Now, Partners in Crime reads the caption at the bottom of the photo, along with a cartoon of handcuffs. In text messages, Walker said that he purchased the Glock from a white boy and that it wasn't registered to him, but that he had a bill of sale. In one text message to Walker, Taylor sent an image of herself with an AR-15 pistol. In another, she asked for a picture of the AR-15 pistol to show a white boy she works with who might be interested in purchasing it, according to documents. I mean, what is wrong with any of this? Everything they're doing is legal. So why are they bringing this up? Save for to vilify them and try to make them look like the bad guys. And here's what I find so interesting. You see, white people take photos, post images, videos, you name it, holding guns all the time, right? Numerous guns, rooms full of guns, and it's no problem. Nobody says anything about that now. And quite frankly, if every time a white person committed a crime or they did something wrong or they were in the news for whatever reason, if they released all the photo images of them holding guns, right? Do they ever do that though? No, they don't, because they don't have a problem with white people carrying guns. I find it so interesting that anytime a Black person is involved in anything that makes the news, they immediately, even when the Black person is the victim, and especially when they're the victim, they immediately start showing these pictures to try to demonize them. Do you remember the young Black girl who was killed on the subway when the white guy who was a racist slashed her throat? He cut her sister as well. And they showed a picture of her on the news after she died. Showed a picture of her on the news where it looked like she was holding a gun. But in fact, it was a phone case. It was a phone case made to look like a gun. But whether it had actually been a real gun is irrelevant. My question is, why would they show that? Because they want to make Black people look like thugs, okay, and criminals. And as if whatever happened to that person, that they deserved it. This is the narratives they tried to paint, the agendas they tried to push. These people are wicked, so nefarious. They are of the devil himself. That is what they are. So anyway, let me continue. Now, in another, she asked for a picture of the AR-15, and she says a white boy at her work may want to purchase it, according to documents. And then they showed photos of the gun, you know, and all of that, or whatever. Her holding the gun. Now, in the course of the investigation, police also recovered evidence that Walker was involved in the sale of drugs. Really? But he's not in jail. Okay. In police interviews, Walker said that he was not involved in serious criminal activity, but did say that he sometimes personally used marijuana. Who doesn't? Okay? However, a search of his phone found numerous conversations about drug trafficking. First of all, I don't think I believe any of this. First of all, who talks about drug trafficking on their cell phone. Okay, people. Numerous conversations about drug trafficking, investigators said in the newly released documents. Okay, so they're just coming up with all of this. You see how this stuff is all coming out of the woodwork? My question is, if he was this type of person, he was really doing all these things, and in fact, if they had proof to substantiate any of these claims, why wasn't this out back in March, maybe June, even July or August? Why are they just now bringing this out? Oh, I'm telling you why, because likely they made it all up. I don't believe a word of it. Now, in several chats described in the documents, Walker discussed selling pills to Hooters waitresses. In another conversation, he sent a message, or he sent an image of a bag of marijuana, advertising it as Cali high-grade premium cannabis, 1 pound, according to the documents. In other messages, Walker offered to sell half ounces for $25 or 2 zips, slang for ounces, of 260, the document says. Now, the messages with more than 24 apparent customers span the fall of 2019 to March of this year, just prior to the raid. Okay, so here's my question. What does Kenneth Walker, whether he was or was not selling marijuana, what does that have to do with the raid on Breonna Taylor's home? Because clearly they were not there looking for Kenneth Walker nor his marijuana, okay? That's what they weren't doing, nor his pills. They were looking for packages and money. They say they thought packages were being shipped there, but we've already dispelled that myth, because clearly they knew there were no packages being shipped there. So apparently the only thing that they were in fact looking for was money stashed there, okay? And at the end of the day, what does that have to do with the fact that Kenneth Walker may or may not have been selling marijuana? Now, in another group chat, Walker discussed robbing someone, the document states. Walker asked how much bread the target had, and another person replied that it was at least 25,000. When someone in the chat asked if it was an easy target or whether he needed to do homework, Walker replied that he does his homework on every mission, according to documents. Do you all believe any of this? Let me tell you something, people. Let me tell you something. You mean to tell me that Kenneth Walker talked about robbing someone in a chat? In a group chat? Who does that? And then they say that he asked them how much money the person had. They said $25,000. And then someone asked, is the person an easy target? And said they needed to do their homework. And Walker replied, I always do my homework on every mission. I'm sorry, but who knows any drug cartels or drug dealers who discuss robbing and selling drugs in chats? Who does that? This all sounds so ridiculous. I cannot. This absolutely is crazy. They had to make this up, because I'm telling you, if these are the same people, and they are, that said that Breonna Taylor had an AR-15 rifle, a long rifle, and that she was shooting at them and went outside and told the neighbor that some drug dealing girl just shot a cop. This is what they said, just shot a police officer. This is what they said. So now we're supposed to just all of a sudden believe something that they say? I don't believe a word of it. I don't believe a word of it. It all sounds so ridiculous. Can you imagine being on a group chat on your phone and you're sitting there discussing robbing people of drugs and money? Okay, right. So Breonna Taylor's boyfriend told police they were scared to death when they heard banging at the door because they thought it was her drug dealing ex. Now, I'm sure they didn't use those words. I'm sure they didn't say, oh yeah, we were scared because we thought it was her drug dealing ex. They had to emphasize that it's written in bold print. I kid you not. It's written in literally bold print to draw your attention in as you're reading this article. These are just a few of the tricks they use, people. The lamestream, yes. The propaganda machine, this is what they do. They go on to say the new documents reveal the police insisted that they knocked and answered and announced themselves, but that Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, said that they only heard knocking and did not hear police identify themselves. That's because they didn't identify themselves. Walker said the couple was scared to death because they feared it was her drug-dealing ex-boyfriend. He opened fire down a hallway as the door was breached, striking one officer in the leg, and the cops returned fire, killing Breonna. The raid unfolded as part of a series of simultaneous raids on multiple locations associated with Taylor's ex-boyfriend, Jamarcus Glover, a suspected drug trafficker. Cops believe that Taylor's home was the money house where Glover housed the dope. The new documents stated that, but no significant amounts of money or drugs was found there. See, I don't like how they say no significant amount of money or drugs. You know what that sounds like? It sounds like they found a small amounts of money and drugs because they said no significant amounts of money or drugs. Why don't they just tell the truth? Because they found absolutely no money or drugs. That's what they found. Nothing, okay? They're trying to paint a narrative, people. Pay attention to their words. Code speak is what they're doing. Now, cops believe Taylor's home was the money house. Hold on. Oh, I already read that part. Okay. And investigators later raised questions about the evidence used to tie Glover to Taylor's home in the first place. Taylor's name came up in the drug case, at least in part, because she had posted bail a few times from 2017 to January of 2020 for Glover and another defendant by the name of Daryl Forrest in amounts that went as high as $5,000 according to police files that were released on Wednesday. Now, Taylor's apartment was considered a soft target by police conducting the raid, and they believed she was home alone. Walker is a licensed gun owner. He was not expected to be there, and his relationship with Taylor appears to have been unknown to the police, but yet they claim they had her under surveillance. The documents reveal that the cops executing the raid decided to knock and announce themselves despite having a no-knock warrant because they considered the location to be low risk. Here's the thing. Now, this is another lie, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right there. This is another lie. They say that they decided to use to knock and announce rather than use the no-knock warrant because they considered the place a low risk, right? Well, here's the thing. If they considered it a low risk, why would they have gone out of their way, including lying on the postal inspector, getting Shively Police Department involved, and going to get the warrant signed by Judge Mary Shaw? Why would they have done all of that if they thought it was low risk? Because you see, a low risk warrant, you don't need a no-knock warrant for that. If it's a low risk case, I mean, you don't need a no-knock search warrant for that. You only get a no-knock warrant if it's a high risk. And if you suspect that there is evidence in there that the people will use to hide, or they'll hide it or whatever, and, try to dispose of it before you enter. So if they thought it was low risk, why in the world did they ever obtain a fraudulent no-knock warrant? The lies continue. So anyway, they say Walker, believing it was an intruder, shot at the officer, striking Sergeant John Mattingly in the leg, prompting them to return fire and kill Breonna Taylor in a hail of bullets. He was charged with attempted murder. However, those charges were later dropped. Now, during his interview with investigators from the Public Integrity Unit, he said the couple were awoken after they heard a loud thud. That was the battering ram. And that's another thing, too. They keep saying that he said he woke up because he heard knocking. They're trying to make it seem like the officers were knocking on the door. They weren't knocking on that darn door. They had a battering ram. Why would you be knocking if you're already holding a battering ram, right? Make it make sense. What he heard was a loud thud, just like it says here. The thud was the battering ram as it hit the door. Because usually it takes at least 2 to 3 times for them to effectively burst open your door with the battering ram. Now, he did not mention Glover by name, but said he thought it may have been a guy Taylor was on and off with. Yeah, that's what he said. He thought it was a guy she was on and off with. He didn't say anything about her drug dealing ex. That's what they're saying, because they're trying to keep putting that in your minds. You see, that's called programming, people. Okay, they keep saying the same thing over and over and over until it gets caught up in your brain, and your brain is now programmed to think, oh, okay, Jamarcus Glover was a drug dealing ex, and then you associate Breonna when you think about her as someone dealing with drugs. This is what they're trying to do. They're very crafty. Trust me. He says it scared her, Breonna. It scared her to death. He said, me too. I was like, who was that? I was honestly thinking, because we've been on and off together for like 7 years or whatever. There was a guy that she was messing with or whatever throughout the time, Walker told investigators. And he popped over there once before when I was there, like a couple of months ago. So that's what I thought was going on. Now, the report notes that Walker references the guy showing up at the apartment months prior. That corresponds with the time frame when Glover was spotted at Taylor's home. He also told investigators he was a licensed carrier, but had never fired his gun outside of a range. After hearing the loud boom at the door, Walker said he asked who was there and did not get a response. He said Breonna then tried asking by screaming, "Who is it?" loud at the top of her lungs, but they still did not get an answer. Walker then described walking over to the breached door and firing one gunshot. The interview was among hundreds of files related to the Louisville Police Department's investigation into Taylor's death that were finally released. Now, the files were made public on Wednesday, nearly a week after hours of audio from normally secret grand jury proceedings was released by Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Coonmaron. And here's the thing. Pay attention. They only released this stuff, these photos and all of this. They only released these 4 pages of files after the audio from the grand jury had to be released by a judge's orders. Now, Louisville Mayor Greg Fisher said much of the information in the files was included in the records from the grand jury proceedings. The files included investigative letters, interview transcripts, officers' body cam videos, audio and video files of interviews, crime scene unit reports, and search warrants. Some items were redacted, blurred, or withheld for privacy or legal reasons. Police said photos and videos of Taylor's body were blurred out of respect. Oh, so now they want to do something out of respect, but they can still talk all the trash and throw dirt on her name and call her a drug queen pin, and in fact say that her house was a trap house. This is what they can all say, and lie and say that she had a gun, a rifle, an AR-15 like assault rifle, and fired at them first, and then call her a drug dealing girl and say that she shot a police. This is what they can do, but they want to talk about showing respect. Louisville SWAT team members said Breonna Taylor's address was not mentioned in briefs that were held before the deadly shooting that night. They would have flagged it as a bad idea. Now, if SWAT said this was a bad idea, what does that tell you? They said they would have flagged it as a bad idea and called serving the warrants an egregious act. The newly released files have raised new questions about what led narcotics investigators to conduct the raid on Breonna's home that resulted in her death in the burst of police gunfire. Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Coonmaron last month said that the state's investigation did not include the obtainment of the no-knock search warrant, and confirmed the FBI would be investigating the matter. Now, Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Coonmaron on Wednesday filed a motion asking the local court to dismiss a request by an anonymous juror to be able to speak publicly about the panel's deliberations in the Breonna Taylor case. Coonmaron issued a statement expressing concerns with a grand juror seeking to make anonymous and unlimited disclosures about the grand jury proceedings, which he called secretive by firm legal precedent in order to protect the safety of all involved, he said. It would set a dangerous legal precedent. As I've stated prior, I have no concerns with a grand juror sharing their thoughts or opinions about me and my office's involvement in the matter involving the death of Miss Breonna Taylor. However, I do have concerns with a grand juror seeking to make anonymous and unlimited disclosures about the grand jury proceedings. A judge will hold a hearing on the issue later on Thursday. Now, the juror is reported to be the same person who on September the 29th accused Coonmaron of using the grand jurors as a shield to deflect his own accountability and sued to make the proceedings public. That resulted in the release of 15 hours of recordings of the grand jury proceedings. but the recordings did not include any discussion of potential criminal action on the part of the officers who shot Taylor, because Qumran determined beforehand that they had not acted, or that they had acted in self-defense. As a result, he did not seek charges against police in her killing, a recommendation the jury followed. Now, grand jury proceedings are typically kept secret, but a court ruled that they could be used, or they should be released after the jury's decision last week, and this angered many in Louisville and around the country and set off renewed protesting. The material does not include juror deliberations or prosecutor recommendations and statements, none of which were recorded, according to Qumran's office. On Monday, it was reported a second juror had reached out to activists in the city on how to speak out about the case. So many of these people want to come out. I'm not going to read all this because it's a lot. But nevertheless, hold on. Nevertheless, all of this is a bunch of BS, because here's the thing. They're talking about he doesn't want the jurors to speak out. He says he has no problem with them sharing their views and thoughts about his office. So then he comes up with another excuse for why he doesn't want them to speak out. The whole thing is this: he doesn't want everyone to know all the lies that he's told and all of the evidence that he withheld. Bad enough that we've already discovered that he did not ever recommend that the officers be indicted for murder in the first place. So ridiculous. Now let's talk about this body cam, because they clearly said that they didn't have any body cam. That's what they said. Okay, here we go. Everyone give the video a like. Let's get the likes up, people. Let's get the likes up. Mod, make sure you're telling people to give the likes. And also subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Click the notification bell and click the word all. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Queen Ahmadiyah Shakur and on Twitter at DGoddess27. Okay. They say we weren't rushing in there to check. This is what they say. They say we weren't rushing in there to check. This is how cops purposely took their time before checking to see if Breonna Taylor was dead or alive. And then you hear one of them say, she's done. They said that after the shootout. Newly released body cam footage shows the moment Louisville cops told SWAT team officers they believed Breonna Taylor was dead, but said they weren't rushing in to check, moments before they cleared her apartment as she lay motionless on the floor. The footage shows the moment officers find Taylor's pulseless, or find her pulseless in the hallway after she was killed in a hail of bullets on March 13th, when her boyfriend Kenneth Walker and cops exchanged fire in a drug raid gone wrong. So let me just skip ahead to the video, and I'll finish reading this after the facts. Okay, they have a warning on here, people.
Hey, put it out. If you're not on SWAT, lift your fire. We're going up. There's supposed to be a female. You hear that? Yes. So she's supposedly the one that shot. We're going up. Throw Ricky in. You got Ricky ready, Burns? Ricky's ready. Hey, just remember, the female is supposedly the one that shot. We're not for sure. One on me. Get him one. Get Ricky in there. He's out. Hey, she's down at the end of the hall. She is down at the end of the hall. You want to hold the door then, Sarge, or what? You want to take it? You want to work? Yeah, we're gonna let's take it. Let's work. Hey. Chris, you got this? Hold on, we're taking him out. Squeeze up. Can't see behind that door. That's fine. Give it to me. Oh, watch out. Moving. Move. Clear right. Hey, watch the kitchen. Watch the kitchen. I got the kitchen. It's clear. All right. Nice and slow here. That's it. Move that wall. Move that wall, Bobby. Scott's controlling Ricky. No, come up to here so you get a cross coverage on the. I got you. I got her. You want to bang? Got this little closet right here. All the way if you want to keep working, Ricky. Hey, if you could reach around and grab that little. There you go. There you go. You want to bang? No, no bang. Right. So this toilet paper and stuff. 2 right, I'm playing. Or 2 left, I'm playing. Sorry. Short. Clear. One on me. Yeah, you got 2 doors open to your right. One on me. This one reaching, man. Hold on. I got her. One on me. I'm here. I got him. Lighting this door too. No. We gotta get in there. Oh, got it. Clear. We still gotta check the bed. Check her. We gotta check her. Check her. She's good. You want the bed? I'm gonna go this way. You want Tim's in here? Yeah. Go ahead and get EMS in here. Come inside. Let it inside. Clear. You help roll her over. Joel. There you go, buddy. Check the pulse. Ma'am, can you hear us? Old Metro Police Department. Check that wrist, dude. Check the wrist. Ready to go. Ready to go. Hey, let's see if we can get some lights on for him. Yep. There's a hallway light. See that? Hey, I'm not feeling it. Let's do this. He needs room to work. Everybody else can clear the hell out and go out the boat door, please. Let Joel, let's zoom on. Everybody else, let's go. At least into the living room. Zoom on. Yeah, let them out real quick. All right, so you can get up. Joe, just get back so I can get out. TSW to the chest. Hey, watch out, guys. Watch out for this casing right here. 10-4. 10's the slug casing. Here, 1080. Casing there. Slug there. For clarification, suspect at the location 1080. Yeah. Hey, don't put your cameras off. Nah. Hey. Alright, she's done it. We'll keep one person here on her. She's done.
Talking about she's done. And they took their own time going in there. Now, how did they know she was dead all that time? She could have been lying there, still breathing, gasping for breath for all they knew. But as they said, we weren't rushing in. That's what they said. Devils. So anyway, let me continue. Okay, they say we just literally hit the door and there was shooting. We announced, we waited, he adds. The team of officers that make their way inside and survey all the areas of the apartment. Hold on. The team of officers then make their way inside and survey all the areas of the apartment to ensure that everything is secure. Now the cops are being they are seen inspecting the room, all the rooms of the home for several minutes, while Taylor's body lies on the hallway floor untouched. As the officers examine her bedroom, one of the cops tells the team, we still got to check the bed. Check her. We've got to check her. Make sure she's good. Sergeant Hogan responds, referring to Taylor. Make sure she's good. Check her. So they didn't have common sense to do that. No, they just didn't give a crap, okay? He is then heard saying, ma'am, can you hear us? To her lifeless body. Ma'am, can you hear us? The team then hovers over Taylor as one of the cops checks her pulse. Now, here's the question. In the midst of going in there, why didn't they call the ambulance first? Because they already knew someone was in their shot. So why wasn't the ambulance already on the way? Why didn't they rush into the home to see if the person had any life left in them and check the pulse then to try to render aid if necessary? But they take their time. They stand outside casually talking, holding a full-on conversation and admitting, well, we didn't want to rush in. There's a woman down in there, but we weren't going to rush in to check, you know. Then they go in, start searching every room for everything else but Breonna, just leave her casually lying there in the hallway. Who does that besides demons and devils? And then I love how they always pretend after they know that you're dead. They try to pretend that they're actually trying to help you or save you. Ma'am, can you hear us? And then checking a pulse. They knew she was dead by then. Are they stupid? Yes, they are. Anyway, let me continue. The officers eventually determine she's done and prepare to head out. They say, let's go ahead and move out. All right, she's done. We'll keep one person here on her. She's done, he says. In an interview with the police department's public integrity unit months after the shooting, a member of the SWAT team told investigators they had refrained from touching Taylor's body and let the medical unit take care of her. Oh, that's their excuse? That's their excuse? So they didn't want to touch her. They let the medical unit take care of her. So it doesn't make sense to them that if she's lying there bleeding and possibly still clinging to life, that they should in fact see if she needs any aid, like CPR. You see how stupid they sound? This is all lies and BS. They're going to let the medical unit take care of her. So that's why they refrained from touching her body. No, they didn't give a crap if she died or not. That's why they did that. And they say, we just kind of pulled security on her, meaning we're just watching her and we know that we have EMS right outside the scene. So rather than us mess with her, we're not medical professionals anyway. Do you hear this BS? You don't have to be a medical professional to render aid to someone. It's called common sense. And do you think they would have done any of this if that had been a white woman laying in there bleeding from numerous gunshot wounds? Do you think they would have just casually stayed outside talking, carrying on conversations, eating donuts and drinking coffee, and then walked in and casually go through every room as slow as they can, shouting orders and commands to one another, and then talking about, we've got to check the bed, and then, oh, yeah, by the way, we need to check her too. She's done. We're not medical experts, he says. You don't have common sense either, apparently. So anyway, he says, so rather than us mess with her, we're not medical professionals anyway. We called for our temps to come up, and then I believe he kind of lifted her up and he checked her pulse and looked to see where her injuries were, Sergeant Joel Cassie said. And I do remember him saying she had multiple gunshot wounds to the chest. No sign of a pulse, he said. Yeah, you know, she's gone. No, he didn't say she's gone. He said she's done. So callously. That's what he said. Now, Breonna Taylor's boyfriend told police they were scared to death when they heard banging on the door because they thought it was her drug dealing boyfriend. They go back to saying that again. The new documents also revealed that police insisted that they knocked and announced themselves, but Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, said that he only heard knocking and didn't hear them identify themselves. Walker claimed that he only fired once as a warning shot towards the ground, but this could not be confirmed by a review of his Glock 9mm magazine, which had a few rounds remaining. That's why I don't think he shot Mattingly. I think they're lying and full of BS because he said he shot towards the ground. That's what he said from the beginning. He told investigators that he had previously used the gun at a firing range and left the magazine partially empty. Photos from the scene show the bullet-riddled aftermath inside the apartment, with bullet holes in the walls and shell casings strewn inside and outside the front door. Photos also show a shattered sliding glass door, displaying the evidence of the alleged wild shots fired through the door by Detective Brett Hankerson, who was fired from the LMPD in June and charged with wanton endangerment last month. Now, a termination memo released on Wednesday accused Hankerson of blindly firing 10 rounds through the sliding glass door without being able to see who was on the other side. He didn't care who was on the other side, clearly. 3 of those rounds went through the rear wall of Taylor's apartment into the neighboring unit, which was occupied, resulting in the wanton endangerment charges that Hankerson was convicted of. That's all so ridiculous, people. I'll tell you what, that is all such BS. At the end of the day, is there a troll in the chat? Someone get Big Bazongas. Big Bazongas. Someone get Big Bazongas out of here. One of the mods, please. No trolls allowed, okay? If they want to sit in here and be silent, that's fine. What they're not going to do is be all up in the chat talking ignorant, because no one cares what they have to say. And that's just facts. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Now, this really paints a picture that there is no way in the world that a system that is not corrupt would have allowed these devils to get away with this. Only a corrupt system like the kind we have in the divided snakes, that's the only time you can get away with these things. Okay? And when you perpetuate them on Black people. Because as I told you, the Black officers who killed 2 white people, they're in jail. And they're in jail, okay? With that all being said. And they should be in jail. Because at the end of the day, you shouldn't be serving no-knock warrants because, of course, the people inside are going to shoot at you if they have guns. They're trying to defend themselves, and they think that it's home invaders, and I would think the same thing. So as far as I'm concerned, those white people had a right to shoot at them, and Breonna Taylor and Kenneth Walker had a right to shoot at these devils. And these devils should be in jail where the other officers are. That's where they belong. And any judge that signs no-knock warrants, knowing how dangerous they are, should also be in jail as far as I'm concerned. Okay? They should be in jail. They should have never been legal. How does that make any sense? You come busting up in people's homes in the middle of the night when they're resting and scare them to death. And then you get upset because they fire a gun at you. They absolutely should fire guns at you because you shouldn't be coming up in there unannounced with no-knock warrants, and especially ones that are fraudulently obtained. How does that make a bit of sense? They belong in a grave. Yes, they do. They belong exactly where Breonna Taylor is. They need to be going to death row. They should be tried for first-degree murder, okay? And have to sit on death row and await execution. That's what they need to be doing. Because as far as I'm concerned, all of these lies and BS that they've told and all this corruption that they've engaged in leads me to think that they absolutely went there to kill her. I mean, hey, the guy did tell them from the Shively Police Department that, in fact, no suspicious packages of drugs had been delivered there. No drugs or no boxes with Jamarcus Glover's name on it had been sent there. So why were they so desperate to go? And why did they do all of this lying on the postal inspector, lying to the judge, and all of this, and not informing SWAT that they were even going? And then they seemed reluctant to even call SWAT after all of this happened. Like they didn't even want to call anybody because maybe perhaps they don't want anyone to know they were even there. Clearly, in my opinion, a shakedown gone awry. And with that being said, they should be sitting on death row. That's where they should be. so they can get the same treatment and punishment that Breonna, in fact, got. So nefarious. At the end of the day, I'm just going to sit back and wait to see what else transpires. These devils haven't, I can't see all that. At the end of the day, you know what? I can't wait to see what the FBI is going to come up with. Yes, absolutely. And I hope Judge Mary Shaw and former Chief Steve Conrad, I hope they go down too with the sinking ship. I hope they do. And I especially, if anybody goes down, you know what I hope? Let me just stop that. You know what I actually hope? I actually hope that the officers, Miles, Cosgrove, and Hankerson, I hope they all get indicted and charged. But more than that, I hope that Daniel Comeron gets indicted and charged. And I hope they let Mary Shaw and the former chief of police, I hope they let them off and pin everything on Daniel Comeron. Because you know why? Because that would teach him about going out there reaching and grabbing and begging and being so thirsty for those buttered biscuits and ham hocks and cold grits. That would teach him. If the white wannabe supremacists just leave him holding the bag and let him take the fall, that would hurt him so terribly bad. Do you hear me? Yes, I hope that's what happens. Yeah, let him take it. Well, I can tell you right now, Queen Trinity, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. They've gone too far with their lies and schemes. And I tell you what, the modus operandi of them is to usually allow the black person to take the fall. And that's going to be good for him. Teach him a lesson. Maybe he'll use this as a learning experience. Okay? Because if anybody goes down, it's going to be him. Trust me. The police definitely need to go down because they're the ones who actively did the killing. And all the lying and the cover-up started from them. But see, Daniel Comeron, it is his fault that the police are free right now, though he would like to make us think it was the grand jury. So with that being said, yeah, he needs to get the brunt of this, as far as I'm concerned. The FBI knocked off Fred Hampton. I have zero faith in them. They've done plenty of things. At the end of the day, Daniel Comeron needs to go down, period, points, and blank. Okay? That's what he needs to do. And with that all being said, I'm going to go ahead. Okay. Who is in her modding? Jawara, Aris. You all don't see Big Bazongas in here. You all can't see him in the chat. Nobody's gotten him out of here. Yes, Chris Johnson, you're absolutely right. Justice is in our hands. With that all being said, I'm going to go ahead and prepare to close out this broadcast. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in once again to the Queen Ahmadiyya Shakur Show. Please be sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Click the notification bell. There are numerous trolls today. You know why that is, Dan? I'm going to tell you why there's numerous of them today. There's likely going to be numerous of them every day because you see, now that my channel is growing, I'm under their radar. And so more of them will come to troll. But guess what? That's a good thing because it means that I'm getting their attention. Clearly, they have nothing better to do. So you said Sam Aguiar is no good. I didn't say that. That's what Kendrick Walker said. I don't know Sam Aguiar, so I can't speak on him. Anything that I said, I prefaced it with this is what Kendrick said. Okay? I didn't say anything about that man. I don't know him. Okay? All I can say is what I research, what information and evidence I'm giving, and that is that. Now, whenever I say something that I don't know for a fact, I always state and say, this is my opinion. I'm not stating this in fact. So I'm not going to talk negative about Sam Aguiar when I don't even know that man. I specifically said Kendrick L. Wilson said that because Kendrick worked with him. Okay? I just report the news. I'm not biased in the news. I report the news as it is. All right? Thank you, Dan. Dan said exactly, Queen. That's true. Okay? We deal with receipts. Absolutely. Total Recall 13. Absolutely. All day, every day. So with that being said, I'm going to close out this broadcast. Everyone like and share this video. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Queen Amadai Shakur and on Twitter at DGoddess27. And I will be back later on with another trending topic. So with that all being said, I wish you all peace, love, and prosperity. And until next time, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.